I'm here with my father and my mother. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Jay's dad, Jerry.
And I'm Jay's mom, Maureen.
So Dad, I'll give you the first question. So why was it important for you to have me come to school like prep?
I'll give you the kind of short answer. The shortest answer I can provide is when Jay was probably 4 months old, I took Jay up to the chapel, Egan Chapel, and I put Jay on the altar and I said some prayers and I asked for God's assistance in helping me raise Jay as my son. And even at that early time, I just thought for some reason prep would be a part of Jay's personal history. And then as Jay grew through his early years and teens, before he even thought about high school, it was very clear when we talked about it that prep was going to be for him. And I had a similar experience when I was in high school of a school like prep, and it meant so much to me. I wanted to try to provide that same deep experience of community among men to my son.
Nice. So the second question is, what types of hardships did you encounter in sending me to prep?
We had not too many hardships in that we were very fortunate in that being residents of Fairfield, we did not have the hardship that a lot of parents have of driving their kids for hours a week to get to the prep, which we would have done, but we were blessed in being so close that Jay spent a lot of his time going to prep just on a bus which would stop in front of our house. I would say the only hardship we had at all was financial, but even that, I'd be willing to pay all that even twice.
All right, Mom. So how have you seen me grow closer to God over my 4 years?
Well, I know you've always been very close to God. But I would say that I think there's a real sense that you understand that you are part of a greater universe and that God is an integral part of that.
All right. So have you seen me grow more compassionate towards others over my 4 years?
Again, I think you've always been a very special person in that you've always reached out to people who were marginalized or vulnerable. You're a pretty wonderful young man. So I guess prep has only created an opportunity for you to expand that and really magnify your goodness.
And last question, where have you seen me learn from my mistakes?
Well, you've made a few, as have all of us. So we know that we all learn more from our mistakes than from our successes. But I think I've always been impressed with your ability to kind of experience a setback or a disappointment by never really questioning it, but rather kind of looking within yourself, digging deep, and trusting that God is there with you, alongside you, in every aspect of your life.
Perfect.
You're a wonderful kid.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Meredith Stuhlman.
So Meredith, what types of changes have you seen with me over my past 4 years?
Well, I've seen many changes. I've seen you become more mature. I've seen you grow in your relationships with friends and family. I've seen you grow in your compassion and your hard work at everything you do. Many changes.
Thanks. So have I been able to express how important my community service is to me?
Yes, and I think I've seen that mainly in your compassion and your dedication to Bridgeport Youth Lacrosse. I've seen you give up many opportunities to spend time with friends and family, to serve others, and I've seen many small boys learning how to play lacrosse look up to you as a role model, and I've seen the joy you get out of it yourself and the joy you bring to others.
Thanks. So have you noticed any of my problem-solving skills improving over my 4 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've become more independent in your problem-solving skills. I think you are able to figure out how to navigate challenging situations on your own, and how to use resources available to you, which is, I think, a natural thing to do as you gain maturity and grow into the young man you are.
Thanks. So how have I matured since my freshman year?
I've seen you mature in many ways. I've seen your priorities change. I've seen you become much more engaged in many different diverse opportunities that are given your way through your community at Prep and through everything Fairfield Prep has offered you. I have seen you mature in ways outside of school as well. Yeah, you've matured a lot.
Thank you.
This is Skylar Salato. He's attended Prep. He's in Miss Smith's class as well. So I'll start off with Skylar. What was I like as a younger classman at Fairfield Prep?
As a young classman, I would say you always showed qualities of a leader, but you're a little less controlled than you are now. Kind of maybe a little bit more of a jokester.
Okay. And then in your eyes, have I achieved the grad at grad?
Yeah, I think your growth and learning, you got yourself together, you have good grades now, shows you're intellectually competent, and definitely loving right from the start, great kid. Shows a lot of compassion. So yeah, I would say so.
Thanks, buddy. Can you give an example of where I've experienced a lot of compassion for others?
Where you've experienced
Yeah.
a lot of compassion from others. Oh, when you injured your arm, we all kind of gathered around you there and helped you out, helped you get back in the swing of things. That was a nasty break, and I think you recovered nicely.
Yeah, that was awesome. So what type of changes have you seen over the past 4 years?
You're more focused, you're a driven kid now. All around, just a good guy.
Where have you seen me recognize that sins affect the entire human community?
Where is he? I think as a kid, or not as a kid, as a freshman, but we would go out and hang out after school. Kind of didn't know the repercussions for your actions. Came over to my own girlfriend's house, like, made a mess.
Yeah.
But we were man enough to apologize, help clean up. So I think over a few years, that's a good example of you starting to realize that your actions affect others. And I think you not only now are a person who's willing to admit when he's wrong, but not make the mistake in the first place and go out of your way to help others.
All right, thanks, buddy.
No problem.
Paige Brown, senior at Wilton High School, committed to play D1 lax at Elon next year. So Paige, what was that like as a freshman?
You were always really talkative and outgoing, even when I just first met you.
Great. So did I change a lot since freshman year?
Yeah, I think you stayed outgoing, but you became a lot more mature. Like, you started taking school and sports a lot more seriously.
Great. Do I show a lot of confidence in myself?
Yeah, you always have.
Great. Next question. Would you say I'm more outgoing and more social because of prep?
Yeah, you've never not been social or outgoing, but I think over the years, you've become a lot more social.
All right, thank you. Last question for you, Paige. Do I resemble prep brotherhood when I talk about my experiences?
Yeah, you only speak highly of prep. You represent them well.
I'm here with Owen Callahan from Wilton, prep alum. So, Owen, what was I like as a younger classman?
As an underclassman, I would describe Jae as a bit timid and scared to really open himself up to others. So early on, I sort of recognized that in him.
All right. So, Owen, in your eyes, have I achieved the grad at grad?
I definitely think Jae has been able to achieve the grad at grad. I definitely think through his time at prep, he's been able to develop a strong ability to be open to growth. he's certainly become a leader.
So, Owen, last question for you. What types of changes have you seen over my past 4 years?
I've definitely seen the change mostly in being open to growth and being a leader. Early on, he was certainly not a very vocal person, but as an upperclassman, as a senior about to graduate, I definitely see that he has a strong ability to lead, and that's something very important. And he's open to growth. He's open to try new things, and that can have a great impact for his future if he continues to have those values.
All right, thank you, Owen.
Anytime.
I'm here with Becca Candy. She's from Reading, Connecticut, attends Barlow High School. So, Becca, what was I like as a freshman?
Well, my first impression of you was that you were very nice. That's like the first thing I thought about you, but you were kind of quiet, definitely not that outgoing. I mean, you weren't the Jay that you are now.
So, Becca, how have I changed since freshman year?
You definitely have become more outgoing. Like, every time I see you, you're always so energetic and positive, and when I introduce you to my friends, you just become friends with them right off the bat. And they always say that to me. They're always like, wow, that kid was so nice, and he was so outgoing. And I'm like, that's Jay.
Do I show a lot of confidence in myself?
You definitely show confidence in yourself by the way that you just carry yourself socially and the way that you present yourself to other people, and especially the way that you talk about lacrosse and how you just love your team. And I think that you find confidence in lacrosse, especially.
Last question for you. Do I resemble Prep Brotherhood when I talk about my experiences?
Oh my gosh, yes. Every time I think of Jae Stuhlman, I think of how much that boy loves prep. You really talk about prep like it's the best thing that's ever happened to you, and I honestly think it is. It makes me so happy that you have a place where you feel so welcome and that you'll be able to carry these memories throughout your whole life. And I think you especially just represent the brotherhood of prep and just loving your school so much and like being able to grow from such a positive environment.
I think you've matured over the last 4 years as a person. Definitely through your commitment to justice and service, which is something that I know that you definitely weren't as committed to justice before you entered prep versus right now as you're leaving it. And I think that's largely the product of the service that you've done this year, as we've had to stick with the same agency. And so I think that's kind of one way that I've kind of seen you grow, especially this year. But I definitely think that you've grown over the last 4 years because of service, and also I think you've grown because of the friendships that you made at prep and the brotherhood. In my eyes, you have achieved the grad at grad. I think you've accurately achieved all 5 prongs to the grad at grad. You're definitely more committed to justice over the last few years. I think a lot of students have, as prep kind of, I wouldn't say forces, but encourages us to become more active members in our community. You've definitely become more academically curious.
I'm here with Graham Nemi, lacrosse coach, Fairfield Prep. So, Coach, how have I grown as a leader?
I think you've done a great job taking on more responsibility as our season's developed. And I know that going forward, you're going to continue to take on more ownership of what goes on out there on the field heading into the postseason.
Great. So how have I expressed school pride?
I think that the way you go about your business every day at practice, I think the way you celebrate with your teammates when we do well in the field is representative of how much the school means to you.
Thank you. And how have I embodied the prep image?
Well, I think it goes a lot with question 2. I think the way you go about your business every day and the people you surround yourself with is very representative of what the school's all about. You really believe in being a man for others and caring for your teammates every day and on game day as well.
All right, Coach, last question. How have you seen me grow over my the 2 years that we've known each other?
Well, I think you went from last year, you went from a guy that was a really unselfish player and an easy guy to play with. And this year you've grown into a more dominant player, being able to have the ball more and score more and be more of a initiator for our offense and a leader in the way you play on the field.